Decisions have consequences. And in this journey with your son, you are going to be faced with so many important decisions. And what you do is going to largely determine the outcome. In today's video, I'm breaking down the top 10 biggest, most significant decisions that you're going to face. So get ready. It's coming up in this video.
And now, the most trusted name in all of youth sports, here's Coach Mark.
Hey, it's Coach Mark here. Excited to be here to share more information with you to help you in your journey with your son. So, today's topic, the 10 most important, significant decisions you're going to make. Now, keep in mind, you will be making hundreds of decisions. The question is, what decisions will you make? That's going to largely determine the outcome. And is anybody helping you make these decisions? Now, you know where I stand on that. I do believe it is a huge benefit to you, especially if you've never done this before, to have some guidance, to have some consulting, to have someone in your corner to help you make these massive, significant decisions. All right, enough said about that. I'm going to break it down, but here's the thing. There's not enough time in this video for me to spend much time on each one of these topics. I'm just going to highlight that this is one of the top decisions you're going to need to make. And they're not in any particular order. Okay, so we'll go 1 through 10, but it doesn't mean one is more important than 10 or vice versa. Number 1 is athleticism. You know, it's a decision to make to become the best athlete that you can possibly be. My experience is a lot of people are not making that decision. They're playing baseball. They call themselves a baseball player. When I look at Major League Baseball players, do you know what I see? I see incredible athletes that chose baseball. Now, not all of them, but many of them could play a lot of other sports. That's because they're great athletes. And they chose baseball, and they certainly developed skills to be a baseball player. But a lot of young players are not working on their athleticism. They're omitting that decision, and it's going to cost them. So make the decision to focus a huge amount of your time, your money, your energy to develop the best athleticism that you can develop. Number 2, skill development. How much attention, in other words, what decision are you going to be making about skill development? You know, I've given the example of arrows in the quiver. How many arrows, which represent a skill, do you have or does your son have? The more arrows, the better. But a lot of people go through this journey, they omit skill development, and when I look at them, I don't see any arrows. They haven't become elite in any category of skill development. Really important decision. Number 3, baseball IQ. The decision is, how much time are we going to spend talking about the intricacies of the game? How much baseball are we going to watch? You know, watching baseball, not as a fan, but as a student of the game, is huge. That's a decision, part of your strategy, that obviously it made my list. I think you should do. But when I look at most kids playing, sorry to say, they forgot about that one, and their baseball IQ is not that high. It's hard to play at the higher levels when you don't understand the intricacies, the higher level things going on, the game within the game. Really important. Number 4, a balanced life. Oh, nobody talks about this. And I want it to be a big part of your decision-making process. How balanced of a life does your son have going through the journey? I am a huge proponent of balance. I'm not a fan at all of these people that say things like baseball is our life. All we do is baseball. We eat, sleep, and drink baseball. When a kid says to me, baseball's my life, I say, well, we're going to change that. We want to have a well-balanced life. Think about all the other things in life. We've got relationships. We got our physicality, our nutrition. I talked about that earlier. How about spirituality? How much time do you spend on growing in your faith? How about hobbies? How about other hobbies like camping and hiking and biking and fishing, playing a musical instrument, being a part of groups, non-athletic baseball, non-baseball groups. These are really, really important. Obviously, academics. So when I'm working with clients, we're talking about balance. I do the same thing in my own life. I have a thing in my office that shows me a sphere, and I've got it all broken down, and I look at it all the time and ask myself the question, how well am I doing keeping life balanced? 5, goals and a plan. In my presentation, if you've been on it, you already know I highlight a Harvard study where they documented a lot of students about goal setting, and they basically looked at who writes their goals down and who hits their goals, and it was striking. Number one, how few people wrote their goals down, but of the people who wrote their goals down, they achieved way more. I'm kind of butchering the study, but look it up, the Harvard goal setting study. It's fascinating. So the question is, are you making a decision to get very specific about your goals? Are they written down? Are they measurable? Are you being held accountable in any way? That's a huge decision. Again, I'm probably sounding a little cynical, but the vast majority of baseball players and parents are not doing that. So I would encourage you to do that. Number 6, exposure. It's a buzzword. It's overused. I get tired of hearing about it. I like to say, we'll expose you when you're ready to be exposed. Exposure, actually, believe it or not, at least for me, helping clients, is the easiest part of this whole thing. It's not that hard when you've been working 20 years in a field to have all these relationships, credible, respectable relationships, to call up somebody and say, hey, I got a kid you should see. That's really easy. The hard part is being ready for exposure. So the question is, are you preparing? This is the decision. Are you preparing for exposure? Do you think about it like a job interview? You're getting ready for it. And what are you going to do to get it? A lot of people go through this whole journey, and at the end of the journey, I call them neon signs at the North Pole. They forgot. They need people watching them. So we need to make sure that's part of your decision. How are you going to get exposure? Number 7 is toughness. Are you making a decision to improve your mental toughness and your physical toughness? Now, I probably don't have to tell you, but in this day and age, one of the knocks on these young kids is they're not very mentally or physically tough. And mom and dad, I know you hate to hear this, but the college coaches feel like you are pampering them, you are enabling them, you are paving the way for them, and that's not what we want. We want tough, gritty, hard-nosed kids embracing in failure, not afraid of failure. Nobody's rescuing them. That's a decision that you have to make. And obviously, with my clients, I'm really helping them in that area because getting tough mentally and physically is super important. Number 8 goes without saying. You knew it was coming. Academics. Are you making the right decisions for academics? I have kids that need a tutor. That's a decision. They decided to reach out to get help. I have other kids that have made the decision to get help with their SAT scores. So making sure we're making decisions to help create a student athlete I know the haters out there and everybody hating on college sports these days, the academics are out of the equation. No, they're not. Okay, we're still getting an education. We're still going to class. We still have to do well in class. So making decisions in the journey to embrace that, it's really important. Number 9, you probably would never guess this one, burnout. Are you making decisions that will help you avoid burnout? Now, I already talked about balance, and those two are directly related. The way you avoid burnout is you don't get one-dimensional. But are you making decisions to avoid burnout? Do you think about it? Do you watch? Do you pay attention to your son's level of enthusiasm and excitement? That's a decision that you should be making all the way along. And number 10, nutrition. Are you making conscious decisions to put high quality things in your body? Or are you not really thinking about it at all? Drinking Red Bull, eating junk, pizza at 9:30 at night. There are a lot of people that would just say, hey, they're teenagers. They can do whatever they want to do. That may be true in some capacity, but I like to think of these teenagers as young Ferraris. Okay, we if they want a bright future, let's put the best possible things in their body to make their young Ferrari really go. Because I promise you, if you put high quality gas in a Ferrari, it goes a whole lot better than if you were to put sugar water in as the fuel. You get my point? So making a decision to embrace nutrition, and I'll add a bonus in there, sleep. Are you making a decision to get quality sleep? Does your son have parameters, lights out by 10 o'clock, something like that? That's a decision. A lot of people don't make it. Kids are up on their phones, 11:30, 12, all this dopamine rush going on all the time. That's not helping their performance. Okay, I kind of went through that quickly. Every one of these topics could be, and probably either is or will be, a full-length video for me. They're all important. These are decisions that you're going to make, and the decisions you make are going to largely determine the outcome for your son. So I encourage you, pay attention to these more than anything else, and you will be just fine. Until the next video, God bless. Hey there, it's Coach Mark, and I have a special offer for you. Yes, I do. We are putting together a parent training course. It's going to be incredible. Now, I have a little background with this. When I was running one of the top programs in the country, we trained our parents, and they loved it. I always say parents are sort of like kids, when they have structure, when they have guidance, when they have, some safety nets around them, they feel very secure. And that's what we were able to do with our parents. We gave them a lot of good information. And now we're opening it up to the general public. So you're going to have access to maybe a one-of-a-kind training program for parents in youth sports. Now, here's the offer. If you fill out the little form that's in the links below, I'm going to give you a huge discount as a founding member of our training program, okay? We're going to give you, 50% off just by filling out the little form saying, I'm interested. It's not even a commitment at this point. You can make the decision later, but just by giving us your information, we know you're raising your hand, sounds interesting. Coach Mark, we'd like to learn more. And if you decide to enroll in the training course, you're going to get 50% off. Now, we're not going to be offering this for a long time. So if you're hearing this message, fill out the little form, raising your hand, and we'll make sure that you have the promo code for the 50% off. Hope you're excited about it. I'm super excited about it because my vision is that we change the whole travel ball culture by educating the parents. They get a bad rap, they do, and sometimes rightfully so, because they do things that are kind of crazy, right? Well, we want to clean things up and have a whole group of people that are really well educated in the landscape of travel baseball. That's what this training course is going to be all about. So Fill out the form, get your 50% discount promo code. Bye for now.